Hello, and a big welcome into the IRN-CRU podcast. I'm your host, Danny McVeigh. We are now a mere 4 days away from the big kick-off of Super Bowl 57, and the buzz is seriously building, even for a sad Patriots fan like me. This is the second of two special podcasts where we'll be focusing on the two teams who will be competing for that Lombardi trophy. So be sure you check out Keith and the rest of the crew. Their deep dive into the Kansas City Chiefs. But before you do that, stick around, right? Because we've got a great show lined up for you. They're infamous as arguably the most intimidating and rowdy fan base in the NFL. Even Santa isn't safe from these guys. But I am delighted that I have three of them join me tonight on the promise they don't throw batteries at me. Right. But first up, we have the crew's favourite Eagle man, Kev Coggle. Kev, how you doing, my man?
All right, Danny, I'm good, mate. I'm good.
Good.
Getting really excited about the weekend. Can't wait to go out in the town and watch us win another Super Bowl.
That's it. Nailed your colours to the mast there already. Next up, we're Hotham stateside. We're catching up with Philly native John Drake. How you doing, Drake?
Doing wonderful, guys. Thanks for having me on. Ready for the big week. It's been hard to sleep all week, and it's only Wednesday.
Is that due to the Florida sunshine, or is it nerves?
It's winter here. It's 72 degrees Fahrenheit, which, I don't know, it's probably in the high 30s or 40s for you guys or something.
Not quite.
Yeah.
Either way, that's still called summer.
Myself, the family, you can actually see the excitement down here in Florida, too. It's crazy how many, Florida's the place to go when you retire. So we got a lot of Birds fans down here, we're pumped, ready to go.
Brilliant. And last but certainly not least is the co-owner of the British and Irish Eagles, podcaster with Eagles podcast. It's Next Man Up. I think I'm right there.
Yeah.
Liam O'Neill. Welcome to IRN-CRU, Liam. Thanks for having me.
That makes me sound real fancy and posh, doesn't it? Co-owner of the British and Irish Eagles. It's certainly not that extravagant.
No, we're delighted to have you on.
Thanks so much for having us on, lads. I'm looking forward to getting into the Birds Chiefs game on the weekend. We've been gearing up for here at the British and Irish Eagles all week, and having been there myself, which I'm sure we'll get into for the NFC Championship game. I'm both really excited and also slightly jealous that I can't get over there, but it's going to be some game. I'm really looking forward to chatting with you guys.
Yeah, no, definitely. There's so much to get into. As I say, this show is all about the Eagles. We don't want to hear about any other teams or anything else.
Liam,
just want to know
tickets are pretty cheap too, at $25,000 a pop. So I mean, hey,
I don't know if you can see, but my fiance is around in the back there somewhere, and we're getting married in September this year. So I think even if I could stretch to the $25,000, which I cannot, I'm not sure it would be worth my relationship if I could. Although I did look the other day, you can get a ticket for £4,200 sterling. With no fees.
Crazy. Yeah. They went down again. So that's how usually it's a buzz.
All right. That's brilliant. Great introduction stuff. So what we usually do here on the IRN-CRU is we usually start off with just a nice, easy kick-off question. Just get everybody relaxed and we'll have a wee bit of a laugh with it. But this one, we'll just simply, Kev, right, we'll start with you. You can set the scene. Simply, why are you an Eagles fan? And how long have you been an Eagles fan as well?
My answer's pretty simple. The guy in the bottom left-hand corner of my screen, I don't know if that's where he is in all you guys, but John Drake. I met John the first time I went to the States. That must have been back in, 2009, maybe? Yeah. Something like that. And we just started hanging out and we became good friends. And then, I started watching games with him. He told me all about the Eagles. We had Michael Vick at quarterback when I just first started watching, and he was so exciting to watch. Like I still don't think I've seen a quarterback that gets me as excited as Vick did when he was playing for us. So
not Jalen, Kev. Not Jalen.
Not quite yet. I mean, he's getting there. But yeah, I think that got me hooked. Drake got me into it. Vic got me hooked, and I've just fallen in love with Eagles since then.
Brilliant. Excellent. Liam, I'll come to you then. You want to follow that up? You must have a story for a man.
Yeah,
from
I've got a
Dublin?
story. It's not as long in years of how long I've followed him as Kev's is. My story started when Sam Bradford was quarterback for the Eagles.
Wow.
Yeah, so not at the height of success, shall we say? My fiance, who you may have seen in the back, cradling our massive ragdoll cat. I met her 10 years ago, and her uncle lived in Newtown, Pennsylvania, Bucks County.
Yeah.
Drake, if you know it.
I'm
Delco. Yep, there you go. And when we first moved over there, when we first went there on holiday, I wish I moved over there. We first went over there on holiday. That was the first place we went, was to New York and Philadelphia. First game I watched in a bar in the US was an Eagles game. That was about 8-9 years ago, and that was it. I was all in. I just needed a team to follow. I already supported the NFL, but I had no allegiance to any team, and that was it. And then I caught the bug. I was a big sports guy, always have been my whole life. And I completely caught the Eagles bug, which has culminated in starting at the Next Man Up podcast at the very start of lockdown and taking over the British and Irish Eagles. And now we have like nearly 3,500 followers. We're doing UK watch-alongs. We're doing trips to Philadelphia. I've been on the pitch on the Eagles Stadium, all in the space of a few years. So I've gone fully in, and it's now my biggest love, my biggest passion outside of my family, my friends, and my job. So absolutely love it. I
understand that all too well. If they can see my background in my Pat Cave, know my love for my Patriots. Drake, coming to you. I guess this is an easy one to answer for you, why you're an Eagles fan. But come and elaborate. Tell us some stories of growing up in Pennsylvania, and it's Philadelphia, isn't it?
I grew up right outside of the city. I grew up in Delaware County. I was probably about 20 minutes from the stadium. So my father and my family's had season tickets for 42 years. I've been going since I was about 4 years old. Moved to Florida, but we still try to go back and forth one game a year. I mean, I have games from the 90s from where, I always wondered why I got a new starter coat. Starter coats with the big jackets with, the team's name on it and stuff. Every year as I got bigger, I got new one. I was like, man, this is the only thing nice my dad would buy me. Well, it's because he was taping beers to me going into the stadium because they weren't kids. There's highlights like when Jerome Brown passed away. I don't know, Liam, you probably know from past history. I compare the defense we got now to the defense that I saw back in the 90s before Jerome Brown passed away. Mm-hmm. Him and the Minister of Defense, it was just electric. It just sold me. But as a kid, if you weren't an Eagles fan in my house, you weren't a part of the family.
Disowned, out of the will.
Yeah, correct. So
no Giants fans, no Dallas fans.
Dallas fans are not. We actually have one in the family, and Kevin can tell you a funny story. At my wedding, the only thing I had to do was go over the pamphlet. I told my wife I did. Obviously, I didn't. So when they're saying the people that had passed away, her father, and then my grandfather, Zygmunt Brzezinski, and they said it should have been Marie, but it was actually Kim. That's what they said, which was my cousin's wife, who's a Dallas Cowboys fan. So at the reception, I had to go over and I'm like, hey, everybody, I just want you to know Kim is well and alive at table 9, but she's dead to all of us because. So, and then how about you coming out of that? When I set that whole up, I had the whole place, in London versus Jacksonville. Danny walks with Kevin's brother, and I had the whole congregation out. There must have been 200-300 people start booing them when they walk out with that silly Patriots attire that he had on. But
yeah, that was a personal highlight. I loved that trip.
Good. That video,
that was excellent.
I'm posting it every year.
That was Philadelphia versus Jacksonville in, what was it, 2017, 2018, something like that. Unreal trip, yeah. Just after you flukily won that Super Bowl, that we'll talk about, I'm sure, later on. Walked into the Eagles bar, loud boos, but I've got to say, what a fan base, though. And within 10 minutes, it was about midday at this point, we were doing shots with loads of folks from Philadelphia, and we had a great time. And I was even starting off some of those Fly Eagles Fly chants as well. So what a trip you gave us, though, Drake. You made sure everybody was...
Our Super Bowl rings, remember that, Kev?
Yeah, I remember. I've still got it. I should have looked out for this video.
I know you got a couple, Danny.
Right. Well, just go on. That was brilliant. I guess just again getting the feel for Liam. What's your favourite non-Super Bowl memory as an Eagles fan?
Oh,
last week, 2 weeks ago.
To be fair, probably last week. I could probably tell you a little bit about that. It was it was just such a special vibe, a special occasion. Even though we were playing the 49ers, who had won 7 straight games in a row coming into that game, and Brock Purdy was looking like the second coming of Tom Brady. You know, and everyone was saying, "Oh, that's it." You know, Trey Lance not going to be the starter next year. Jimmy G, who cares? We got Brock Purdy. He's ice cold. It felt like we were going to win. And it wasn't a cockiness it felt like we were going to win. It was a calmness that we felt we were going to win. It was like Jalen had us in control. The team had it in control. The momentum that was building off the Giants win, it just felt like it was going to be fine. Even when it went 7-7, and Christian McCaffrey scored this incredible run into the end zone where he seems to ping pong himself off the Eagles players into the end zone. And I'll tell you what, I know we're not supposed to be talking about other teams, but watching C-Mac live, different gravy. Like he was electric on the field. It was crazy to watch. But the occasion, the spectacle, just amazing. The Philly tailgates. I mean, they say they're up there with the Bills tailgates, and they're just crazy. Like there's people jumping off. You know, HRVs. There's people jumping like into crowds. There's people shotting beers and shots at like 6 a.m. in the morning. Me and my mate Tony Brewerton, who's actually also from Scotland near Edinburgh. He's an Eagles fan. Okay, we'll have to get you into the British and Irish Eagles group, buddy. We went to about 3 or 4 different tailgates. We were wasted by the time we got into the stadium. I was sat next to 3 Philly fans who'd not been to a game in about 6 years, but they'd managed to get tickets for the AFC Championship game, and they were just loving life, and they were great lads. And that's the vibe I think you get around Philadelphia. Like, it's a blue-collar city, but it's a friendly city. It reminds me of Newcastle. It reminds me of Dublin, Liverpool kind of vibes. They're just really great people, and they give you the jacket off their back, and they're just completely invested in their sports teams. And the Eagles and the Phillies are like 1 and 2 right up there. And the city just goes crazy. I mean, I was reading some stuff today. There you go, Tattoo. I love that. I was reading some stuff today. The schools are opening later on Monday, so that the parents can have a lie-in in Philly.
That's tremendous.
There's a guy who's just done his ankle in. Who the surgeons, he was going to the Super Bowl, rather than doing the surgery he needed, plastered it up so he could go to the Super Bowl via car, because he can't go via plane, to watch the game, to come back and have surgery next week. That's what it's like there. So Daniel say last week.
Dedication.
Well, what I would say though, one thing about that, you're saying, you know, friendly people. That's only if you're wearing the green of the Eagles. I was watching the videos of the 49ers fans walking up, and they were getting egged. So
yeah, we were throwing. Here we went. The last one, they were throwing beer cans, full beer cans too. And Philly people don't waste beer. Full beer cans in Minnesota. They don't mess around.
Wait, what about you, Drake?
I think there's a spotlight on Eagles. I think there's a spotlight on Eagles fans because of the moment with Santa Claus. I mean, if you look at some of the other teams around the stadium, people throw stuff onto the pitch of players that you don't see the Eagles doing, but they play up to it. It's a Philly thing.
Yeah. It is. But you know, we've also seen the videos of shouting at Joey Bosa and stuff like that as well, which I've got to say, Joey Bosa didn't come out particularly well at. But Drake, what's your favourite non-Super Bowl sort of memory? You were telling us a couple of things there just before we kind of went live that I want to hear more about.
I mean, until Howie Rosen really, when we came out with that Dream Team comment back when Vince Young and when we picked up Nnamdi Asomugha, which was probably next to Mike Mamula back in the day, one of the biggest busts in Philly history. Maybe we can go as far as what's his name, Nelson, that's on your boys, the Nelson Aguilar, another bust. But man, probably game wise, it has to be when Deshaun Jackson ran back that ball back against the Giants. I mean, I'll never forget. I was dating a girl. We were supposed to go meet her family. My parents were in town, and me and my father got pretty drunk because we were upset. We were down. We were done. Do you remember that game, Liam? Like that was a game, and then they ran that back. That went to another half a bottle of vodka, and then the meeting of the parents didn't go as planned. But I just think this team's electric. This team's got something. It's just Sal Paolantonio over here is a big one, a big analysis out of Philly, usually with ESPN. He came out and said this team's probably the best that Philadelphia's ever had on paper. I mean, Howie Rosen again, before they won that Super Bowl, I was like, see Howie, you need to go. And then that next year,
most of Philadelphia was, Drake. You weren't the only one. Most of Philadelphia, myself included. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Everyone was done with him, and they're like, then he picks up. Stephen A. Smith said it best. They pick up Jay Ajayi for a stadium hot dog. I mean, like, yeah, would they give him like a 5th or 6th round draft pick? And like those small pieces, he just knows how to save himself at the 25th hour. He just know.
Same thing happened. Same thing happened when. Same thing happened when after we won the Super Bowl and when the whole Wentz. I know we're probably getting onto this, but the whole Wentz to Peterson scenario. Everyone wanted Howie out again when it was a quarterback factory, and
because he gave him all that money. Like, you're giving a guy money that didn't finish what he had to finish. Yeah, he was injured. Yeah, hey, listen, he got us there. And Big Dick Nick.
He did. Yeah.
So
yeah,
that still hurts. Come on.
And then hopefully,
sorry, Danny.
Hopefully, if we do win this next weekend, I'll be in Magic Kingdom on Monday, like I was the last Super Bowl, watching Jalen Hurts go around the parade at Magic Kingdom.
Love that. The class. You have set up the perfect segue, because that's exactly where I was going next. Is the wee ticker says going across the screen here. I was looking at the team change and the rebuild. You know, what was it? Like 2016, Doug Peterson came in 7-9. I think you finished 4th in the NFC East. You then went on the next year and won Super Bowl 52. But then it all started to go downhill a bit after that. It was then 9-7 the year after that. Lost the divisional round to the Saints. Year after that, 9-7 again, but lost the wild card. I think it was to the Seahawks. His last full season, I think it was in charge of Dougie P, went 4-11-1 and finished 4th in the NFC East. And it's all that was such a big drop at the time, because I remember listening to guys like Colin Cowherd who was talking about, you know, this is potentially another dynasty. You've got a dynamic young quarterback there. Howie Roseman knows how to build a team. You know, they had such a great team there, and Doug Peterson and Frank Reich and all those other parts going around about it. And then all of a sudden, the wheels started to come off. So I guess just how much credit has to go to Howie Roseman. You've already started to talk about this one, but I'd like to go in a wee bit deeper for what he has done.
He easily sets it up like this. He drafts terribly. You look at JJ White.
He did draft terribly.
He's a great one. Yeah, he had a great
draft. Last 2 years he's been good.
And taking big man on the defensive line, Davis, but great. Yeah. But think about previous though. Jay Ajayi, or not Jay Ajayi, I'm sorry. JJ Whiteside, Nelson Aguilar. Then they picked up, who was it? Brooks from the University of Tennessee. That Derek Brooks, who just ended up being just a huge penalty grabbing person, because he led the league in penalties the last 2 years, and he hasn't played half the year. He's probably in the top 10 again. Draft, man, and then he screws it up in the draft. Not this past year, you're right, Liam. But previously, the last 4 years of draft, who do we got still? We have Derek time for pennies.
Kev, are we allowed to mention Jalen Reagor over Justin Jefferson?
Yeah, fuck it. Why not, Danny? Go for it. Rub it in.
Like, I was sitting on the back of the field watching that. And I'm like, oh my God, Justin Jefferson's coming down. And then they pick him, Reagor, who I've never heard of. They're faster than Justin Jefferson. Okay, bro. Like, this. Yeah.
I'm gonna back up Howie Roseman here for a second on this one, Drake, and I cannot back up the Jalen Reagor pick whatsoever. And if any Eagles fans listening,
you never can.
Don't worry, I'm not going to do that. But what I will say is, pre-draft, there was some hype around Jalen Reagor. Like, there's a reason he was drafted at. I mean, was it 18 he was drafted at? 19 he was drafted at?
Yeah.
There's a reason that he was. Yeah, I think Jefferson went 17, he went 18, I think.
Yeah.
Or something like that. But there was a lot of hype. Birds with Friends podcast by Will Kapadia and Zach Berman, good journalists, were talking about Jager being a potential pickup for the Eagles in the first round prior to the draft. I am not saying he didn't miss crazily, and it was one of the. I mean, it's an easy stick to batter with, right? Because you look at what Justin Jefferson's down. No one knew Justin Jefferson was going to go and break all those records. You're lying at your arse if you say you did, right? No, you can't predict someone to go and break all the records like that, because he was a good receiver in a good receiver class. He was projected to go first round, along with a few other wide receivers.
Who was it? Waddle, expected. Ace. I mean, they were all in that.
No, Chase was after. It was CeeDee Lamb. All right. Because I wanted Lamb because my fiance's second name is Lamb.
We'll leave Henry Ruggs out of it, right?
What you're saying, Liam, is hindsight's 2020. And that's true, you know. But I mean, I think I was with you for the draft a couple of years back, Drake, and you were delighted with the picks. Was that when we got Smith?
That was when we got Devontae Smith. Yeah, I was happy about Devontae Smith.
Yeah.
Not only the Heisman does nothing for a receiver to get a Heisman is a pretty big thing, but he's another Deshaun Jackson. And I think that's what they were looking with Rager. Like they thought Rager was the next Tyreek Hill. That's why they took him. And I remember watching the draft, and that's all they kept saying. He's the next cheetah. He's the next cheetah. Yeah, he definitely looked like a cheetah, but he wasn't fast like one. Like he just. And then, I mean, if you remember, the best thing ever, there was a YouTube video the night after the Eagles lost, and Rager would have won it. Ball dropped in his end zone, and it was a burning building, and they were dropping kids from the top of the building. No bull. They're catching them. And the guy goes to the radio on the news channel. Hey man, we're catching babies, catching unlike Aguilar or unlike Rager, who don't know how to catch a damn ball. And they ended up putting them up at the game the next game because of it.
Let me read these out quick, Drake, because I'm giving Harry Roseman the last two drafts, right?
Go for it.
2021 draft, Devontae Smith, Landon Dickerson, one of the best left guards in the league now. Milton Williams really come on leaps and bounds in the last few weeks at defensive tackle, defensive end. Zach McPherson, yeah. Kenneth Gainwell, 5th round pick, making it happen. They're calling him, playoff Kenny right now. He's been burning it up. Shout out to Mick McGivern. He would have said that if he was with us today. Playoff Kenny. I mean, I'm talking 4 players in the first 5 rounds that have all hit in 2021. And I mean, we know what happened in 2022. Jordan Davis and AJ Brown. I mean, that alone, just those two pairings,
absolutely,
is off the charts.
Absolutely.
And then you look at the off-season signings.
Yeah.
You're picking up Bradbury. You're picking up Hassan Reddick. Hassan Reddick has 19 and a half sacks in 19 games.
I mean, it's just it's ridiculous. You're right.
Yeah,
but and even the in-season pickups you got. Who was it? You get the big boy Joseph, the previous Vikings, Linval Joseph, and Sue.
And Dominic Sue,
Quinn,
and then Buddy
Quinn as well.
Quinn. And I don't know how you managed to rob the Saints of C.J. Gardner-Johnson.
And we get that first round draft pick. I love it. We're gonna have 2 first.
You see, Sean Payton's just joined the Broncos, and the first thing he said when he was asked about how the Saints have done, he said he cannot believe that they let C.J. Gardner-Johnson go. Cannot believe it, and for what they gave him up for. Talking about dropping kids off building, I think someone's dropping Drake's kids off the building.
The poor guys we'll let him go and deal with the kids. But so I think, Howie Roseman has done an absolute fantastic job. You just look at the depth of this squad. But there was also a change in coach. We had Jesus, just get on the back.
Sorry, I'm just laughing at him running around in the background trying to catch his kids.
It's great telly.
It is good, yeah. It's probably not good listening, but it's great telling, yeah.
Like I mentioned earlier on, Dougie Peterson, he's got the statue outside Lincoln Financial Field, with Nick Foles calling that Philly play.
Yeah.
He barely lasted 3 years before he was sacked. In steps Nick Sirianni, almost a who, he was not greatly known. He'd obviously done some good things as an assistant. Then there was that initial press conference, and he just seemed completely at his depth and didn't really know what he was saying. At that point, Liam, what were you thinking when you think, oh God, here we go?
It's funny because I'm a forever optimist. I mean, if you had Mick on the podcast or Phil, my other co-host, shout out to Mick and Phil, they would probably tell you that they were a little bit more reserved, I think is a better word than pessimistic. I think we were a little bit like, ooh, that's bold. Because it was all, the interview you're mentioning is we're a team, we're like a flower, and this flower is going to slowly grow and it's going to bloom. Everyone else looks like an idiot now, don't they? Because that's exactly what happened. But if I was to turn around and tell you that I was completely convinced in Nick Sirianni at the start, no. But I bought into his charisma. I bought into what he was trying to do. I bought into what he was trying to infuse within the team. and it's culture, right? It's culture at the heart of it. It's mindsets, its fundamentals, and its culture. And that has permeated throughout the Eagles team all year. And it's even more stark and poignant, I find, now in the playoffs. You look at the way the Giants players reacted both before the game and after the game to playing the Eagles. You look at the way the 49ers have reacted post the game and all the excuses they made, and they said a couple of things beforehand. Now, the Chiefs haven't really said much yet, although Juju Smith-Schuster did say the best cheesesteaks aren't in Philly. But we won't say that's too much disrespect. But what have you heard from the Eagles players? Nothing. Because all they're focused on ruthlessly is the next game. Don't let any outside distractions interfere with you.
Well, that's how
don't let anything cloud your judgment.
Like when they don't pick us to do Hard Knocks and all this other specials and stuff, I love it. Like I said previously, like that year we picked up Vince Young, we picked up Jason Babin, we picked up Nnamdi Asomugha, and Vince Young made that stupid comment, the Dream Team. Man, that right there just gave journalists and everybody just a freeway of like, oh, so you're automatically going to win the Super Bowl. We haven't done that at all this year. At all.
Yeah, and that's what I absolutely love, because I was actually going to bring up this point as a Patriots fan. It's kind of famous now within Patriots circles about getting back to what was it, Super Bowl 39. But sorry, bring this one up, guys.
That was a while ago, wasn't it?
The Patriots beat the Eagles then, but there was a famous speech in pre-game talk that Bill Belichick gave, and he basically put up, look, this is the route. They're going to take this street down Philadelphia. They're going to come across here, and they're going to come up here. He was basically outlining the Eagles had already released their victory parade route, and that was all the I was going to know the evidence, but if just to fire up the team, the ammunition that the Patriots needed, that's all Bill Belichick had to put up there. And you're basically saying there's absolutely nothing coming out from them. They seem just focused on the job. It's a bit like that Bill Belichick thing: keep everything in house, don't give the media any other sort of hype.
Do your job.
Do your job, and that's I'm going to say. Do you find that's a difference between sort of the Nick Sirianni team and the Doug Peterson team? Have you seen them?
Yeah, but I don't. 100%. And I also think it's a different dynamic between head coach and owner. Harry Roseman is going to be the Eagles GM until he's dead. He's got, not only is he, in my opinion, the best.
I agree.
Not only in my opinion, I think he's the best GM in the league. I do, just because of what's happened. I mean, we have this running joke on the Next Minor podcast. Why does anyone pick up the phone to Harry Roseman when he's calling in the off season or during draft night? Don't pick up the phone. You're going to get screwed. He's going to beat you. He's going to beat you. Don't pick up the phone. There's also a running thing that he's, because there was times where he could have been ousted, and Jeffrey Lurie, to be fair to him, always stuck with Howie. Now, whether Howie has something on Jeffrey Lurie is another conversation. But it doesn't matter.
And then remember that he promoted, and then that's what screwed up the Chip Kelly era. Yeah,
and Howie was put in a locker room, like in a cupboard for a couple of years, and came back out. Like, you ever watched the Jason Kelsey speech, which you absolutely should. Like, it's just hairs already on my arms coming up.
Out there of them,
it's insane. But I think the dynamic between Doug and Howie and Lurie just wasn't there at the end. I think Howie wanted to go in one way. Doug wanted to go in another way. And I mean, you could see it in the press conferences towards the end. Doug couldn't be arsed to be there. It was just lip service.
I think he lost the locker room, and the difference between Dougie P was obviously a quarterback. That's what he did when he was at the Packers, and with the Eagles, and then
great guy as well.
And he was a fantastic dude. You see the Jacksonville's trending up. I'm happy for those guys. I think they have a couple pieces away from being a playoff and Super Bowl contender.
Next year, I think they could be up there.
Sirianni. It's funny to say a coach is a player's coach. Man, he's just one of the guys. He is just gelling. It's almost like I heard the dude from the Giants came out and said, oh, he's lucky. He's just along for the ride. They're just playing street ball. Guess what? They are playing street ball. And they love playing for this dude. They're like, oh, just like Dougie P in the Philly. He was like, you want to do Philly? Yeah, let's do Philly. Boom, touchdown. That's magic. And I think Sirianni does. And I think Sirianni's got a chip on his shoulder. When Andy Reid, that was one of his first fires when he became the coach of the Chiefs. Then he went to San Diego, and he'll tell you, I've read it up there, and he said the day that San Diego beat the Chiefs, that day in that first game, he was up in the press box on a table, jumping up and cheering.
He's that kind of guy, though. Like he wears it on his sleeve, and it's refreshing especially in the Philly. It's like he was molded to be made to be a coach in Philly.
Yeah, I thought he was South Philly originally. Like,
well, exactly.
The people and, like, playing pickleball every Saturday in South Philly. Nobody really does pickleball in South Philly. I can't believe that. It's kind of
I've said permeated. I'll say emanated now. It's emanated throughout the rest of the coaching staff. Jonathan Gannon, right? We can touch on Jonathan Gannon a bit. He has been lambasted all year by Eagles. He's got one of the best defensive coordinator records in the NFL history, not just the Eagles history. And I hope so. And I wouldn't have told you that even like 8 weeks ago, right? And he rolled down. Did you see the video of him rolling down the window in Philadelphia the other day?
Leaving the stadium?
I don't know where it was, but he rolls out his window and he's walking out and he sees some Eagles fans and he looks out and he goes, "Let's fucking gut them."
Yeah,
talking about the Chiefs. And, I mean, they're all into it. Like it's all part of what Sirianni has built. And to say that as a second-year head coach is unbelievable. You asked the question, Coach Peterson, incredible coach, excellent for what he did. Was the right time to move on. Cannot believe the Eagles are back to where they are five years later.
Oh, absolutely.
Roseman.
And why did they bring in Sirianni? Why did they bring him in? To keep who happy?
To keep Roseman happy.
Yeah, and then Wentz. That's why I couldn't believe when it happened. And Rick went to that whole thing, that debacle happened. I don't know, man. It's crazy. Right. It's magic.
Well, that's perfect segue again. Let's go on. Just before we go, we did get a comment in from Studs who's listening. He was on the other night there. He's our resident Chiefs fan. So, but he wants to say Kev's looking like he's ready to go training with Rocky for his upcoming fight with Apollo. Fair enough. As long as you knock out the Chiefs.
You saw what's going on in Philly. Every time some idiot put a giant shirt on Rocky.
This is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking. Same thing I'm talking about when like the players are talking about stuff. The fans are doing it. I'm like, you really want to feed the beast? We need that. We don't want to be favorites. We don't want people to be telling us we're favorites.
We are favorites.
We want people to tell us we haven't got a choice. We want Chris Sims on the radio all day talking to us because he just shits on us all day, every day.
Well, okay. Well, let's have a look at the current roster. Right, I'm aware of time kind of clicking on here, and it's just
we're not here for another 4 hours. All right, okay.
I would love to. I'm up for it.
I've killed my 10 o'clock, so I'm good to go on after if you need me to.
Oh, brilliant! Then
I'm down too.
Because I think we can deep dive really in this current roster. Before we kind of come on, I was mentioning let's get through the kind of the strengths and the weaknesses of this team. Liam, what was your reply to that?
Strengths and weaknesses of this team. I think it was what weaknesses.
Yes.
I might regret that.
That's exactly.
Well,
be a Philly fan. I'm being honest. You put it on paper. You put it next to each other. You got Mahomes and Hurts. Mahomes has got what? Maybe like a. You percentage-wise, give Mahomes 55%, 45 to Hurts. Now,
he's got about that the salary cap as well.
Well, yeah, that too. But I'm saying with this game, you put O-line on O-line, we kill it. D-line on D-line. Mahomes hasn't seen our D-line. He hasn't seen it all year.
I'd say the O-line. I'd say the O-line is. I'd say
best in the league.
I'd say we're the best in the league, but I'd say Chiefs probably have the second best.
Oh, I'm loving this. Right, well, let's see about the matchup because I do have a wee bit of a big matchup later. But let's just talk actually about the strength and depth. First of all, the one point obviously coming out from this, Kev, that I'd like to kind of get your take on is Jalen Hurts. Is he fit? Just before all the championship games, he was obviously injured out with that shoulder injury. There was a press conference saying he's still sore. It's maybe not quite 100% right. Do you think he's got to be 100% Jalen? And do you think it matters even if he is carrying a slight niggle?
I think he'll be 100%. I think that the way he played against San Francisco, he looked all right. Maybe not in top form yet, but I think he done what he had to do in that game. And I think that with the 2 weeks between the games, I think that should be plenty of time for him to rest up and be ready. But even if he was, played the way he did against the 49ers, I think that's enough.
He didn't need to throw the ball very much, did he?
Not if they stop the run, bro. They stop the run, we got a 3-headed monster. But if they don't, they stop that run, it's all on Hurts.
Yeah.
It's all on Hurts.
Well, yeah. You've got a 4-headed monster there if you include Hurts. Boston Scott. Playoff Boston. and playoff Kenny, as we were mentioning.
Yeah, giant killer Boston. Giant killer.
Giant killer. That's right. How can I
Boston
forget?
Scott. Yeah. Giant killer.
But yeah, what do you take from Liam, just the rise of Jalen Hurts? You know, there was probably even the start of this season, there was a lot of people, big question mark over, you know, can he be a QB1 in this league? Would you put that down to? Do you think it was always there, just a bit of rust that needed, or a bit of diamond that needed polished up? Or
no. I mean, you got a few people in life, right? Two different types of people who succeed in life. I find you've got your naturally gifted people who are good with minimal work, and if they do a bit, they're great. And you've got people they're good, but they have to work really hard to be amazing. And it tends to be the people who are good that work really hard to be amazing. That's Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts, excuse me, while he's not the most, he hasn't got the best arm in the league. Excuse me, that must be the red wine I'm drinking. While he's not got the best arm in the league, and he's not got a Patrick Mahomes arm, and he's not got a Herbert arm in terms of making any throw possible, he is serviceable. Was serviceable, I should say, before this year. In the offseason, I don't know many people picked up on it, but he went to train with Tom Brady on throwing accuracy and throwing arms in the offseason last year. He is the hardest worker in the building. And that's a cliche that's thrown around so often. And I think a cliche that's thrown around way too often. With this guy, it's the case. Like he is there before everyone. He leaves at the end. When we lost to the Cowboys or the Giants? The Giants, when we lost to the Giants the last game of the season, when we were playing some of our starters and he wasn't very fit. There was supposed to be a day off on the Monday. Everyone had family plans. Jalen texted Sirianni and said, "Coach, we're going in tomorrow to study to see what went wrong." And then the next day they went in and did that. Jalen Hurts had the capabilities, but I would say the capabilities that not many people actually use or get there. It's pure hard work. It's pure dedication. It's pure consistency. That's what he always says. Consistency. And he learns. He learns from his mistakes and he doesn't do them again. Not many people do that. Like Carson Wentz doesn't learn. He wants to play hero ball all the time. He's got way more arm talent than Jalen Hurts ever did. Way more. He had a decent run game before he did his ACL as well. But he's too stubborn. He doesn't want to learn. He thinks he's God's gift. Jalen just wants to learn and be better and be better and be better and always strive for the next thing. And he's so focused. So am I surprised that Jalen became what he is this year? I think if you told me to jump in passing percentage stats, where he would be in the league in terms of interception ratio, which, by the way, before the last few weeks was like ridiculous. I mean, it's still one of the best in the league, but it was even more ridiculous if he done. Probably not. I probably would have said he would be 3/4 of the way there or 2/3 of the way there. Am I surprised that he did it based on his character? No. I was one of the few people who believed in him from the very get-go. And that might be luck because of my positivity and all that kind of stuff. But I saw something in him and I saw that work ethic and that drive. And not a lot of people did. In fact, no one did. I mean, the amount of people who wanted to sign Russell Wilson, Drake, and give up 3 first-round picks in the offseason?
That wouldn't have happened. There's no way it would have happened.
I don't know.
If that would have happened, then guess who would have been out?
Harry Roseman.
Your boy Howie.
Yeah.
Boy Howie. He would have been gone. I think he's a lost cause over in Denver. I really do. I think
Peyton will help.
Yeah.
Peyton will help.
You saw he's kicking out the guru. His quarterback guy's not allowed in the building. His Tom Brady had one, a quarterback coach or whatever, his personal one. Not his whole personal. I guess he's a head case, Russell Wilson, man.
He's lost.
We'll go on to him.
He already got Peyton's like, your office is gone. That's now the janitor closet, and the rest of everybody else that works for you is gone.
Daddy's got an agenda to get us to that point.
I've got an agenda here, and it's going off. Don't get me wrong. I would love to deep dive on it because I think he's a nutter, and I think he's a fascinating character. But yeah, let's try and stick to the Eagles because it's Super Bowl week, guys. He's 4 days away from potentially lifting that Lombardi again for the second time 5 years. Drake, let's look at the strengths and weaknesses. What I've been really impressed as a neutral, kind of looking in through these playoff runs, is just the dominance, and they're just bigger, tougher, and stronger in the trenches than any other team they come up against. You look at that San Francisco 49ers game, and I mentioned it in one of our podcasts. Purdy didn't hurt himself
No.
Reddick destroyed him.
Yeah.
And then it was Johnson that come in. And how did he go out? Again,
Put any
that D-line.
It's healthy. Same shit would have happened. You
Yeah.
put Garoppolo in there. I still think the same outcome would have happened. I was more afraid of the Giants game because the Giants in the NFL with momentum, like when Philly first started that whole 10-0 and then all that stuff, I didn't want to be undefeated because then if that's all they would have talked about, then the Miami Dolphins, someone's going to be better than the 70 Dolphins, all that crap. But the momentum's everything. I really do. I think I really would have liked Hurts to play that one. The Giants game that we lost? Was it the Giants or I know we lost the Dallas game, but I would have rather won that game and had 2-3 weeks of rest.
Yeah, it was the Saints game we lost.
The Saints game that we lost. I would have rather him play that, and I had a lot of faith in Gunner. Still have a lot of faith in Gunner. But like Liam was saying, there's just a different feel with Hurts back there. He's confident. He's not just coming out there saying, "Oh man, my shit don't stink." Like, he's really just he's a player's player. Like he's about a family. He's about a team. It's not about him. It's about the whole thing.
100%.
And Carson Wentz, I think that it was literally it was about Carson, and that's why it didn't work for Carson anywhere. It's not why. It's because he's cancer in the locker room, like they said back in the day about RG3. RG3 made it real good in the first year, and then he's like, oh, "Man, come on, man! I took the Eagles to the Super Bowl. I might not have won it, but they wouldn't have got there if it wasn't for me." That's the truth. It's the truth. But
how much do you put down the rise of Jalen down in that O-line though? When you do have Jordan Mailata, Jason Kelsey, Dickerson, Lane Johnson, that is some premium O-line talent there.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I could stand behind that and not get hit.
Well, again, it's a really good point, and I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's nothing to do with it, because I'd be a liar if I said that. Having one of the best O-lines, the best O-line in the league, let's be honest, they are the best O-line in the league, really, really helps. But you also had one of the best O-lines in the league last year.
Yeah.
Jalen wasn't very good then. So to say the development of Jalen Hurts is down to the O-line, I don't buy that. To say that the reason the Eagles went 14-3 in the regular season had a good amount to do with the O-line, I'll buy that. Because it's one of the best O-lines in the league with a much improved quarterback sitting behind them. A quarterback who makes better decisions, a quarterback who throws a better spiral, a quarterback who is going through his progressions. That quarterback wasn't Jalen Hurts last year.
Well, you remember when they drafted him, they were worried about his arm strength. They said, "Man, move like Vic."
He throws the best deep ball in football now.
He does. And just like Kevin was saying earlier, watching Vic,
maybe not Mahomes.
He was a freak of nature. Like that boy had a cannon. I mean, so did Randall Cunningham back in the day. Like, we're known for having a black mobile quarterback and that West Coast offense. That's always been Philadelphia. It's been a West Coast offense. I think Sirianni changed it up a little bit. I really do. And having Hurts is just a double-edged sword.
Now, A.J. Brown helped a lot, Danny.
Oh, God. Yeah. And another amazing move by Howard.
Yeah.
If
you're going to talk about development of Jalen Hurts and some of the reasons for that, I would say one of the reasons for the development is A.J. Brown. Because A.J. Brown is a safety blanket for him. But not only that, it's the intangibles of A.J. Brown. They're friends since they were sophomores or freshmen. I can't remember which one. I don't know how it works over there, Drake. You can tell me.
Freshman, sophomore, junior, senior.
There you go. And they've been chatting ball since then, and he wanted them over at the Eagles. And just having him around. One thing I will say about the Eagles in general, like one of the reasons they've been so good this year is Jalen Hurts, and not just Jalen Hurts' play. He lifts everyone up. He lifts everyone around him up. You've seen it when he doesn't play. All the narrative during the season, Eagles have had an easy schedule. Eagles, it's not the quarterback. It's the system. It's the system. Like Micah Parsons saying it's the system. Fuck, it's not the system. It's Jalen. It's Jalen.
I'm a Patriots fan. I heard for 20 years that Tom Brady was nothing and it was a system QB. So you get used to just...
You know what we feel.
Off the shoulder. You get used to just smiling and nodding. And
hey, if we have 20 years of Tom Brady and we hear that all the time, I feel like a very lucky man.
I'll take 20 years of that with Jalen Hurts, but a mobile quarterback's probably about 10. So
I'll take that. Drake,
I'll take that.
So what about this front seven you've got as well? I say, was it 70 sacks or something like that in the season? It's just unbelievable. It's up there with like the 84, 85 Bears. Yeah, it's just unreal. And that's why when I watch them, just like you're just beating up teams here. You're just bigger, tougher, and stronger. How much again, is that something that's come out this season? To me, watching it, I don't watch a lot of Eagles. I watch as much as I can. But again, is that something that's been a big change this season? You're obviously talking about picking up Hassan Reddick in the off season there. You know, how much is a difference has he made to this team, for example?
Huge. I don't think you. Yeah. Go on, Jake. Do you want to go?
No, I was going to say that Quinn. I was thinking more like Quinn. When Quinn came from Chicago, like Reddick had a hell of a season. Then we pick up Quinn. Quinn has been a little bit silent, but Reddick's just a beast, man. He reminds me a lot of like, who's your boy? Oh God, an analysis for ESPN. Samoan Hawaiian dude. I can't forget. It's Teddy Bruschi.
Okay,
dude, like he's just you can't move him. He's a brick house.
Yeah,
like you're not running through him. And he's when you have that you think about our depth. I think the best in our depth is with our D line. Our D line is just someone gets hurt, man. There's no hole. There's no hole, and just those guys in the back of you. Oh my God! Like I'd be afraid. I'd be afraid if I was there.
Hassan Reddick has made a huge difference to Eagles.
Absolutely.
19, and it's not just by the way, the most underrated player in the league. I mean, he has been snubbed of every single award. It's mind-boggling. I keep doing it. I don't care. Right? The 49ers put a backup tight end to try and block him last week.
And what happened?
He got sacked. He got annihilated.
And that's the end of Purdy's career,
and
probably.
There you go. See you later, Kyle Shanahan. Shit the fucking bed. Sorry, Kyle, you did. That's 3 and 4 years now you've done it. You know, you don't underestimate these guys. Like, he's 19.5 sacks in 19 games this year.
Unreal.
Numbers. But for me, and that's incredible, right? When you consider in the entire regular season last year, the Eagles only had 29 sacks last year. And Hassan Reddick. Yeah, and well, the 19.5 for Hassan Reddick is included in the postseason. Yes. The 29 is just a regular. But still, incredible jump.
I think sure the regular season, was another
56
you had 4 players over in double digits over
10.
10.
No, yeah, I thought we had 6. I thought it was with 10.
No, we 4 over 10, which is the first time in NFL history, and we nearly had 5.
Okay, I thought
we nearly had 5. Yeah. But just go back to the comment. It's not just the production of Hassan Reddick, because I was likening this last night on our podcast to you know, like a MotoGP bike that goes around a corner and it gets really low and really fast. That's Hassan Reddick coming around the right tackle and the left tackle, right? And because of the pressure he creates by getting to the quarterback, even if he doesn't make the sack, he's forcing them into the interior defensive tackles or the edge rusher coming around the other way, and he creates sacks for the rest of the team.
Yeah, Hargraves is right there.
Oh, yep. Hargraves is eating him up. He's already in the grave. He's digging the grave. The grave digger is.
Yeah.
Like Fletcher Cox back to getting 10 sacks. Brandon Graham off an ACL injury getting 10 sacks. It's crazy, man. Josh Sweat has had an incredible year as well. He doesn't have quite the same numbers. He's 7 or 8 sacks, but he created the same pressure. Yeah, he's created the same pressure and he's come back off injury. Unbelievable. And what's hilarious, Danny, is all the narrative about the Eagles not rushing the quarterback, like for the first 2/3 of the season, coming out of Eagles fans. Like we're not talking about opposition fans. It's coming out of Eagles fans' mouth. Jonathan Gannon isn't aggressive. I mean, come on, speaks for itself.
Yeah. No, just I want to kind of touch just briefly on weaknesses. We know your guys' thoughts on weaknesses, but Brandon Ayuk, after that championship game, came out and made the statement that the KC passing game will expose the Eagles' defense. Now, I can only assume he's looking at the secondary. Now, when I look at the secondary, I wish the Patriots had that, and I think the Patriots have a pretty good secondary, just considering the amount of talent you've got back there. Again, is that just bitterness, Kev? I'll come to you. Or do you actually believe there is a weakness somewhere there in the secondary?
No, I don't think that there's a weakness in our secondary. I think our secondary is really strong as well. What I would say is it's maybe a mind game that he's trying to play, where he's maybe trying to get in our secondary's heads, maybe put a bit of pressure on them. But, you know, like we said before, our players aren't talking. They're not getting involved in all that crap. And we like being underdogs. So if he wants to come out and say that they're going to beat us up and that, you know, they're too good for us, then that's fine. I'm fine with that. But no, I think you know, you talk about these winning titles, and I think that it's obvious that that's something that we've tried to build on. So we had a ridiculous D to begin this season, and we were flying, but yet we still went in and added another 2-3 really top class players on top of what we had. So I think we're in a really strong place, and I'm not worried about that.
You agree with that, Drake?
Big play, Slay and Bradbury, man. Like another Howie, just an amazing. Again, I don't like to give Howie credit when he's not doing credit, but he's definitely doing credit with that one. I mean, it's secondary. I think our weakness the last 10, probably even longer. I mean, since we had Troy Vincent and Bobby Taylor and Asante Samuels is probably the best DB we've had since the group that we have right now. We picked up, what was it? That wasn't Eli Apple. I used the Giants. Buddy from Oregon that was supposed to be hurt and all through the draft a couple years ago. He was supposed to be the next up and coming. But this secondary is different. I think Gannon's got some juice in this defense. I'm not worried about the wide receivers. And to be honest with you, when the week started, they were injured. They were on the injury report in the beginning of it with high ankle sprains. And when you're a wide receiver, that ain't good because everything's on your ankle.
Well, that's an interesting point. I mean, for their wide receivers to do damage, then Mahomes is going to have to be throwing the ball. And yeah, obviously, if anybody can do it on the run against our O-line, our D-line, then it's going to be Mahomes. But with his injury, is he still going to be able to scramble and get those balls away?
Listen,
I just think we're too strong all round.
This is a non-starter. I mean, secondary, you kidding me? I mean, Darius Slay and Bradbury were in the top 10 rated quarterbacks in the league. 2 in the top 10. I mean, that's a weakness. I mean, come on. Avonte Maddox being missing a nickel cornerback.
Yeah, I've even forgot about Avonte.
Was a big miss for a few games towards the end of the season. Yeah. Crossing my arms, I'm not happy. He was a big miss when he came back, and so what I will say is one cornerback goes down, we're in trouble. That I will say. The depth isn't there in the secondary.
No,
Josh Joby's not going to come in and do a job. You can maybe get CJ Gardner-Johnson going to nickel, but then you're opening up the safety valve because Marcus Epps is the only other good safety there. Yeah. So you lose one of the safeties and the cornerbacks, one of those 5 players, depending on what you're playing. Then there is a clear exposed weakness that you could exploit as an opposition. But those 5 players they're elite at their level. They really are elite. Avonte Maddox is one of the best nickel cornerbacks in the league, and no one talks about it.
Like 5 or 6 games. He was out quite a few.
Yeah, he was out a while. I mean,
through the playoffs and the bye round, you're just like, sit down, bro. Like,
defense. Yeah, Drake, you're dead right. You're dead right.
Yeah.
And defensive tackle as well. I would have told you before we picked up Thomas and Sue that when Jordan Davis went down, it looked like people could run all over us. That's not a problem anymore. You picked it up. And it's scary to be talking about this because I don't want to be.
He was only playing like 10 or 12 snaps at that time too, Davis. And I was like, yeah, we're killing people.
25% of the snaps. Yeah,
but put him in more. Let's. Yeah, we like beating these teams. Let's destroy them. Like, let's put our team out there. Let's do the Philly thing.
Well,
I agree.
Let's look ahead to the big game, right? Because that's again.
Just before you go on, I just want to give you one final answer to that question. The Eagles' biggest weakness is if any one of the starters goes down in any one of their positions. I don't think. But besides the D-line, if we lose one of our offensive linemen, if we lose Lane Johnson or Jordan Mailata, that's a big loss. If we lose one of the interior offensive linemen, it's going to be tough to patch up, but not as much as it would be the 2 outside line. If we lose one of the right wide receivers, Watkins is nowhere near the level that Smith or AJ Brown is. We lose Goddard. I mean, there's no one even comparable to Goddard in the team. You lose one of the QBs, then there's a hole somewhere. You lose one of the safeties, there's a hole somewhere. So what I will say is one of the biggest reasons the Eagles are where they are is because they've been healthy all season. And they've been able to adapt in games. If the Eagles go down with a few early injuries, then there are many weaknesses that could be exploited. If I'm being completely honest,
that's a great point, and I guess there is maybe a question mark over Lane Johnson. He's obviously got that groin injury, I think, or his thigh injury. He was playing with, so a 2 weeks rest that will do him a world of good. But no, that's a great point, and I guess that then just comes in, as I say, we're just looking ahead then to the big match. I guess for me, I look at this matchup and I think there is one thing Eagles need to do to win this game, and I'm sure everybody knows what it is. You stop Travis Kelce. To me, he's been MVP for Kansas City and probably the league this season. He's been there. He's been there everywhere. Mr. Reliable. And I have always mentioned I just can't understand how much space he gets. He always seems to be in 3, 4, 5 yards of space. Never seems to really take a hit. He always seems to be wide open. How do you stop just a phenom like Travis Kelce? Who would you put on him, for example, Liam, just to try and curb his? Would you double him?
It's the no. Yes. No, I would double him, but it's the way I would play the offense as opposed to just Kelce. I don't think I would rush the quarter. I don't think I would rush Mahomes as much because I feel like if you rush Mahomes very often, then Kelce will exploit the space and Mahomes will find him. Even if he finds him for 5 yards, his yak is 750 yards this year, Travis Kelce. 750 yards after the carry.
Unreal.
Just don't get him the ball in his hand. So if you drop a little bit, which is going to hate Eagles fans because no one wants Gannon to drop in coverage because we get slaughtered that way at points. but if you're playing that way against Travis Kelce, I don't think I would rush Mahomes as much. But it's a double-edged sword. The real answer is you can't, Danny. You can't stop Travis Kelce. There is no way of doing it. Otherwise, I'd have a job in the NFL as a defensive coordinator and I'd be for an award this year because you can. And there was a story, I can't remember who said it. Mick might have said it where you read an article every day. Travis Kelce's out on his podcast, New Heights. If you haven't listened to it, the Kelce podcast is incredible from both of the brothers. Apparently, defensive coordinators come up to Matt and say, "We've been trying too hard to stop you all week, and you've still destroyed us. How did you do it?" I don't think you can stop Travis. You win the game elsewhere. You might lose it there, but you win the game elsewhere.
Yeah, no. Well, what do you think, Drake? What scares you when you look at this Kansas City team? Where do you think they can exploit, or is there a particular weapon other than Travis Kelce you think you need to watch for? Is it that D-line with Chris Jones and Frank Clark, for example? Or are you comfortable with your O-line, or
I'm comfortable with the O-line, but just like Liam said, we're thin. We're thin there. We're very thin. I think if we have a backup for each of them, I'd be very surprised at least that caliber. I think Travis Kelce, he's a beast. It's you walk in and you're gonna double team him and whatnot. Then you leave Tony wide open, and then you got Juju. It's gonna be tough. That's where the weakness is, I think, for the Eagles defense. I think Mahomes and Jalen Hurts are both the same players. I think it's like the same different defense. I apologize.
Oh, you're a bad man.
Doesn't agree with you, Drake.
You want to see them? You say hi. Say go Birds.
Stinky Dada.
Okay.
Yeah, stinky.
I know the Chiefs are stinky diaper, right? Yeah, they are. But Kelce and him, they just had that. It's a lot like AJ Brown and Jalen Hurts this year. They have that bond. It's just like the ball's thrown up and they just know where to find it. Blitzing's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough because, like I said, it opens up that pocket in and right there, 5 yards, maybe 3 yards in front of a dump pass, and just like Liam said, 750. He's gonna have. I hate to say he's gonna have over 100 yards receiving, but it just is what it is with Kelce.
Do you think you can generate enough pressure? Just try to pressure with a front three rather than actually bringing a blitz.
I don't think we can create enough pressure with a front three to get to Mahomes. Four maybe, but it would have to be a decent. I think they're going to have to dial the pressures when it's the right time to do in the game. One thing I will say is I'm not as confident as Drake is about the O-line versus their D-line, or as confident about our D-line against their O-line. I think this is it goes without saying it's the toughest matchup of the year for the Eagles, but I think it's the toughest matchup in the trenches. Everyone's talking about the quarterbacks, right? It's the toughest matchup in the trenches. The Chiefs have 55 sacks. That's the second most in the league behind the Eagles. People don't forget that. Their offensive line has 2 Pro Bowlers and 1 reserve Pro Bowler on their offensive line. Yeah. So, it's a real matchup in the trenches, and
I don't think it's a slaughter either way. And
no.
I am worried about what was
injuries could decide this game.
It was 50-50 the other day. JD, stop, please. It was 50-50 the other day. That's where it was. I mean, it really is. I think it's going to come down, and I love the 37-34. I'm seeing everywhere. Philadelphia. I've seen that. A bunch of my buddies back home are putting that up there.
They've leaked
But
the
I
script.
think it's going to be
The script.
so close. I think it's going to go both ways. I don't think both defenses are going to get picked apart. It's going to be lucky plays. I think it's going to be the bombs, like the Juju or the AJ and DB going out. Unfortunately,
a lot of the Chiefs wide receivers were on the questionable injury report. Now, I haven't seen the Chiefs one released. I believe the Eagles one has been released in the last half an hour or so. If I can try and get it up here for
if you can find that, Liam, right? Kev, I'm going to come to you. We have a question in from Keith, who is our host. He was saying on the Chiefs preview crew, it was suggested that the Eagles haven't really been tested this season apart from the Commanders. Is there some truth in that, or is it disrespectful to this team?
No.
What do you think?
I think it's disrespectful to this team. We've chatted about it amongst ourselves in the past, and I think that our division this year turned out to be really, really strong. And that, and there's no easy games in the NFL. It might be a bit cliche, but there are no easy games in the NFL. And I think, there's some games where we've maybe not been at our absolute best, but we haven't had to be. And I think we've picked our game up when we've needed to a lot of the times this season. So, I think that's disrespectful.
We were full strength against the Commanders and any of these other teams, and the losses we weren't full strength. And maybe were we full strength? It was mostly on defenses where we were hurting at that point. And then
the Eagles have the most wins against winning teams in the NFL in like 15 years. So that's a no-starter just on that stat alone.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was saying. That's exactly what I was saying when they were talking about us, not being tested. The teams that we played this year, their records were mostly winning records. So how were we not tested? If these teams are winning most of their games,
I can see that.
Surely that
from Ross there, 21st in strength of schedule. That probably was preseason. I would imagine that's where you're getting that stat from, Ross. If you're listening, that wasn't preseason. I mean, if I knew what the prediction was going to be for the Eagles every year, I'll be multimillionaire. I'll just bet on it all year. Right? You don't know how players are going to develop and adapt and who they're going to sign. It may well have been the 21st easiest schedule. I had the Giants winning 3 games this year. My prediction.
I had 5. I had them winning 5.
And they go make the playoffs. I mean, you got to be what's in front of you, and the stats show that the Eagles won the most games against the most winningest, which I hate that American word, most winningest teams in the league. And they deserve to be where they deserve to be. And anytime when it's mattered for us to win, we've come up and we've won. People had us losing to the 49ers with Brock Purdy, number 1 defense in the league, smashed them to pieces. Not saying we're going to smash the Chiefs.
That defense, Liam. They just talk about
number 1 defense.
Brock Purdy, Josh Johnson. Like
they said we couldn't play on them. They said you can't run the ball against the 49ers. We ran all over them. He can blame Greg.
Yeah,
Greg Rosenthal. That's harsh, studs. No, again, with this matchup, I guess you've hinted on it there, Liam, what sort of matchup that you're looking forward to seeing, and I agree with you. I think it's in the trenches. That's what I want to see. Yeah. Kev, what about you? Is there any particular matchups you can't wait to see? Is it Darius Slay on, MVS, or is it?
I'm really looking forward to seeing how it goes in the trenches as well. I mean, like you said there, I know, Liam, you're not so confident, but before the Dinos, we were getting told the same thing. They're the best in the league. We can't beat them in there. And I think we went out and showed that we've got the best D in the league. And I think that, we just need to prove that one more time, and we'll have ourselves a ring.
Just want to touch on that. Phil, my co-host, made a really good point on our podcast last night. And the Eagles have won in so many different ways all season. The Eagles are not a one-dimensional team. Sometimes they win on the interception game. Sometimes they win on the sack game. Sometimes they win on the running game or the passing game or a multitude or a few of those combinations of things that I've just mentioned. And
sometimes it's a shutout, sometimes it's a shootout. It's
exactly. And the ability for the Eagles to win games in whatever way has been what's so synonymous with their success this year. And I can't claim this statement or opinion as my own because it was Phil's. But it's true. And he went as far as to saying, we talked about what's the game plan going in. Phil went, let's just dip our toe in the water. See what way we need to play against them. See what way the game plan's at. And I'm sure Nick Sirianni and the defensive and offensive coordinators aren't going, let's just dip our toe in and see what happens, right? They'll have a game plan for sure. Yeah. But it's a testament to the way the Eagles have won. Now, look, that's not to say the Eagles are going to go and beat the Chiefs on Sunday. I think it's going to be a very tight game. I don't think anyone could call it either way. I fancy the Eagles, of course I do. I'm a homer. I support them. I believe in them. But am I sitting here with 100% conviction that we can win? No. Am I sitting here with 100% conviction and confidence that we are where we should be? Absolutely.
I think the two right teams are the two right spots at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And in the beginning of the season, looking at our schedule, it is what it is. But man, these guys are all pros. So you don't know what you're walking into. Like, unless you know what quarterback you're walking into, Tom, Dick, and Harry, or whatever it is. Like, then that's a win. You can see with the Saints, like Andy Dalton. Come on, man. That was a great matchup, wasn't it? Andy Dalton versus Gunnar Minshew. I mean, that was a great matchup.
The Red Rifle, something unreal, and I love a bit of Minshew. I've got to say that what I would love for me is like maybe somewhere in the first half, the second half. Maybe Hurts pulls up, sore groin, hamstring.
Oh, no, don't say that.
And Minshew goes on to lead you to Super Bowl victory. Seeing that beautiful human go up and lift that Lombardi trophy would be utterly magnificent.
He wouldn't be lifting it even if he came in the second half.
I wish
be getting there first.
One of my 86 jerseys that I don't have. Like right now, I got a Hank jersey on right now.
Yeah.
The only reason
I promise you, if that happens, I'm going to have a mustache for the rest of my life.
Me too.
Oh, yeah, I'm telling you. You heard it. Danny, you got to write that down.
It's going to happen one way or another.
Danny, I'll take the Super Bowl win whatever way it comes.
We're going to watch the Super Bowl together, me and Kev. So if it happens, I'm going to take him back to my hotel room and hold him down and shave it off for him. That didn't sound quite right, but you're close friends, Kev.
It's not happened before, Danny.
Well, why don't we get into it then? Now is the time. Colours to the mast. Let's give predictions, and I want scores as well, and MVP while we're at it. Drake, come to you. Who's going to win? What's the score? Who's the MVP?
I got 34-31 Birds. MVP could be keep my boy Jalen Hurts. I think Jalen's gonna. Like we've been talking about the whole time here. I think he's magical. He's just he's confident, but he's not showing it. And I think he's gonna come out, man. I think he's gonna come out gunslinging.
I love that.
Super.
Shout out to Matt Mills from the British and Irish Eagles, who about 3 or 4 weeks ago, I think it was Matt Mills. Apologies, Matt Mills, but it wasn't the right Matt. There's about 6 Matts in our group. He came out and said that the Eagles were going to win 34-31 against the Chiefs before we even beat the 49ers. Yeah. So there you go, Drake. Maybe there's something to that.
Heck yeah. Go Birds.
Do you agree with that, Liam?
No, I don't agree with that. I don't think it's going to be as high-scoring game as people think it is. I think it's going to be a lower-scoring game. I have the Birds winning because I have to have the Birds winning, and because I believe the Birds will win. And on my podcast last night, I said Mahomes is going to get injured in the first half, and we were going to win 36-18. So I'll go with something a bit different today. I'll play another scenario in my mind with the Eagles winning. I'm going to go the Eagles 28 and the Kansas City Chiefs 23. I think it's going to be a good game. I think a lot of the points are going to be scored in the second half. I think the first half is going to be quite cagey. And just for fun, Kenny Gainwell is 125-1 to be the MVP of the Super Bowl. So if you fancy a flutter like some guy did in the US, he put $3,000 on it to win $325,000. Super Bowl Kenny to be the Super Bowl MVP.
Comment all over again. You're saying it's a coin all over again.
There you go.
I'll put a pound on it.
There you go. Free tip.
That's it. Kev, what about you?
I'm going to say I'm going to say the Eagles win 31-21.
Ooh,
And I'm going to say my MVP is going to be AJ.
I was gonna say I thought going in.
I would love that, by the way. I would love AJ to be MVP.
Kevin got 3 new jerseys, by the way, Liam.
I did.
I got all 3 colors for him. Black.
I got a Hearts, an AJ, and a Slay off break.
Can't go wrong
There you go.
There you go. Good man, Drake.
Send me your address. I'll send them to you. I promise you I will.
I'm looking at a site there now, and I don't know if it's right, but the spread is currently sitting in favour of the Eagles at -1.5.
Yeah.
The over under's 51,
Yeah.
which I find pretty surprising. Like you guys are talking about there, everybody's talking like 34, 31. Well, the bookies seem to reckon that this
What
is
did I
going to
have?
be
What did I have?
there.
28, 23. What's that? 51 on the money.
There you go. You've played this game before, Liam.
I genuinely didn't know the over under, but
I think that first half's gonna be close, and then I think they're gonna come out gunslinging in the second half. I think it might go across the board, be a close game. I think it's gonna be touchdown, field goal, touchdown, like opposite. It's just gonna go to the end.
all I know is I'm going to be absolutely fucking wankered during it.
Me too.
I have a job Monday morning, and I said, listen, if somehow we pull this off, I'm going to Disney World. So
Yeah. Absolutely.
Late.
I don't blame you. I mean, we're hosting any Eagles fans listening, we're hosting a UK watch along at Passion Avenue in Waterloo. There's going to be a tailgate from 12 noon in Leake Street, Waterloo, among a number of bars, all the way through till 10 p.m., which is still an hour and 45 minutes before the game kicks off.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So we're talking 12 noon until about 5 a.m. in the morning. So what's that? 15 hours of. So it was like NFL Red Zone. 15 hours of non-stop drinking.
That's my intention.
I wish I stayed in London.
I know.
Hey, you're welcome down. The flights must be cheap.
They're not so cheap for me, but
you don't need to ask Kev twice. Absolutely right. Absolutely loved it, and I'm absolutely buzzing for it. There's only one thing more I need to bring up.
Wait a minute, Danny. No, hold on.
Yeah, what's your
prediction? What's your prediction?
I was going to wait till tomorrow night's review, but no. Okay, right. Well,
change it up like I did. I did 2 different ones 2 nights in a row.
Eagles win 27-24.
How bad?
I actually didn't realize that came to 51 as well, but I'm kind of the same.
That hurt to say that, didn't it?
Well, see, I'm a bit like CMC was interviewed today by who's the guy with the big ears on the NFL Network, Andrew Siciliano. And he says, I hope both teams lose. So I'm kind of on that same way. But you know what? The lesser of two evils is definitely the Eagles for me.
Well, then how so? Mind me asking you, how so is it the lesser of two evils? How bad would you hit Kansas City?
A lot. Between Jackson Mahomes, Brittany Mahomes, Travis Kelce, just studs.
I'll get another comment coming up in a second.
I would much rather see that and just listen to Patrick Mahomes' Mad Kermit the Frog voice when he's on the podium. No.
Is it because you're worried about your dynasty being overtaken by KC? Is that what it is?
Hardly. That's not going to happen.
I'll tell you all this. If the Eagles pulled off this weekend, I've lived in Florida. I've lived here for years. My kids are about to be 4, 3.
Where are you in Florida, Drake? Whereabouts?
I'm right in the thick of it, Orlando.
Oh, you are? Nice.
I live 20 minutes behind Disney.
All right. So when you said you're going to Disney, you literally meant hopping in an Uber.
It'll be my first time. Yeah, it'll be. Well, my wife will be with me, and my kids will be their first time ever going to Disney if the Eagles win the Super Bowl.
That'll be awesome.
If not, they're gonna wait till the end of the year.
What a good reason for the Eagles to win. If not for that alone, to get to know your family. That's
a magical moment for my boys and my baby girl, and especially my wife.
I'll be thinking about you, Drake, when that final whistle goes. I hope.
Yeah.
Right, I'll give you one more minute, right? Just to, it's up to you if you've got time, but Super Bowl 52. What a night for you. Philly special. Everything that went down there. The refs changing the rules as the game went on. We all know that some of those were not touchdowns. We know they weren't catches. You robbed us. Still, actually, that hurts me because that was one of the best games I've ever seen. You know, Tom Brady played out his skin, 505 yards, 3 touchdowns, over 1,000 total yards for scrimmage both sides, just unreal, backwards and forwards. It looked like even we were going to go on that 2-minute drive at the end and upstep. Was it was it Fletcher Cox or was it Brandon Graham? I think it was Brandon Graham.
The strip sack was Brandon Graham. Yeah,
I got a sticker of it inside if you want to see it.
Yeah, no, I'm good, thanks. It still hurts. But what was your experiences of watching that then? Liam, I'll come to you first.
Yeah, so 5 years ago, I was following the Eagles for about 4 years by that point. So I kind of, it takes a while if you've not grown up playing NFL, as I'm sure listeners will know, you know, because most of your listeners, I assume, will be in the UK. Took me a while to get to learn the game through Madden and the rules and that kind of stuff, because that was the best way for me, because they say what they want on TV. I had to kind of see how it worked,
sure,
you know, myself. And at that point in time, I had just completely gotten the NFL. In my 4 years, I'd actually, not all of it, but I understand like 85-90% of everything that was going on in the pitch. I wasn't just looking at the quarterback throwing the ball. I was looking at the offensive line, the defensive line, you know, as much as you can holistically. And I'm a Newcastle United football fan. And I was born in 91. And I'm from Ireland. So other than the Six Nations, my entire life has been a failure sports-wise, watching any team I've watched. And at that time, I wasn't doing Next Man on podcast. I wasn't British and Irish Eagles. I was, you know, just a regular fan. I'm still a regular fan. And went to watch it with some mates in Bloomsbury Lanes in London, which is a bowling alley. And they had gridiron going on there, and there was cheerleaders everywhere, and right. And when the Eagles won the Super Bowl, I was surrounded by Patriots fans who are my mates, by the way. Patriots fans. And everyone who wasn't a Patriots fan, who wasn't my mate, was an Eagles fan, because they were supporting me, because I didn't have any friends who were Eagles fans around me. And when they won, when that last play happened, when that ball fell in the end zone and hit the ground, when Tom Brady's last throw, I haven't yet since captured that moment of elation that I felt that my team had secured a title. You know, you call it a world title, you call it a US NFL title, any kind of title. I mean, we're going to the Carabao Cup in a couple of weeks for Newcastle. I'm over the fucking moon. I think it's like the Champions League final for me, right? It's never won anything in my entire lifetime. 98-99 FA Cup was the last time we were in a final for anything. Anyway, I digress in soccer. And euphoria, moment of elation, that I've not captured yet in a sporty sense since. And I feel like it will be even greater this time because of how invested I am in the Eagles and the team and my friends and everyone. I think it will be even more special. But yeah, just one of the best days of my life. And I'll happily say that.
Superb. Drake, do I ask what you did?
There's a list. There's a list of things in my life. Number 3 is getting married. Number 2 are my children. that big old Eagles wedding.
Yeah.
First, I'll start with the party that I was at. We won't say maybe or maybe not. The person that might be in this podcast was supposed to be there the whole game. Showed up, I think, maybe at the end of the third quarter.
No, it was at halftime. It was at halftime.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I
got there at halftime.
Too much from that, but it was pretty close. But I cried. Like, it was something. It's kind of like Ron winning the first championship for the Cavaliers. Like, it was just something for Cleveland. Like, it was. It's more than that for the city. Like, it just truly was. It was something we haven't won forever. Like, when the Phillies won the World Series back in like 2008 or 2010, whatever it was. That was the last thing we had. The Eagles never won it. And to share with my father was back in the 80s in New Orleans when they played the Raiders. It was in a bar. It's a good one. In a bar, I meant to look up the guy's name, who it was for the Raiders, who it was. It just single-handedly destroyed us. But the night before, some Philly fans started talking to him. My dad's sitting in this bar, and literally, this big dude who plays for the Raiders throws him through a plate glass window. Like, that, and we lost. It wasn't because we got through the window, but it's memories. But unfortunately, my wife wasn't next to me. It was some random guy. Just gave him a big old kiss. I was crying. Called my father, tearing up. It's life. My wife hates the Philly way.
Yeah,
Eagles family, and then the rest of the sports.
Yeah,
so
I love that.
To win a second one, I don't know if I would be. It's just I don't know if it's as big as the first one. First one was just special.
I don't know either. I mean, I'm guessing here. I mean, I think it would be that first one would have been even bigger for you.
You're in the thick of it now, Liam. Like you're.
I am, and for you, I suppose, your whole life waiting to watch your team win it, and you know, for me, it was only. Let's be honest, it was only 3-4 years for me to see them win it, and you can say I'm quite lucky in that regard. Or I'm the Irish look that brought the Super Bowl. I mean, you can.
I thought my wife did. I thought she wasn't my wife at the time, so I thought I was like, man, like I was looking for her. She's like, I wasn't your first kiss. You just kissed some random dude over there. I'm like, emotions.
I'm all for that, Drake. Drake, if you were here on Sunday and we won a Super Bowl, I'd kiss you right away.
I might kiss the shit out of you.
Kev, don't leave Kev out. Come on.
Kev, threesome. It's all good.
I think that random guy he kissed might have been me, actually, to be honest. But no, so for mine, as Drake just spoiled there, I was over in Florida for it, but Drake actually told me maybe the year before. He says, I think we're about 4 years away from winning the Super Bowl. And I was like, really? And he's like, yeah, we're building. We're about 4 years away. And then about 5 games into the season that year, I told Drake, you know what? I think we're winning this year. And he's like, nah, still too soon. And I said, well, I'll tell you what, if we get there, I'm coming over. We're watching it together. Yeah. So Drake and his mate Pepper organised a big Super Bowl party. We had a Philly cheesesteak truck parked on the drive.
Italian ice, water ice.
The place was jumping. It was brilliant. But then Drake was pissed because my cousin who lives over there, he throws a Super Bowl party every year, and he's like, "Oh my God, you're here! Come to my Super Bowl party." I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm kind of meant to be watching this with Drake." But I said, "Right, I'll come down for the first quarter, and then I'll head up and meet Drake." And then at the end of the first quarter, he's blowing up my phone, going, "Where the fuck are you, man?" Like, I was like, I'll be there. So I got there about halftime, and it worked out. So, and just like you, Liam, I thought maybe I'm the mascot, you know.
But he wasn't. Do you remember what I did at halftime? What did I go?
Oh, you went and got your dog, yeah. You went and got Chip.
My dog's name is Chip Kelly. Swear to God. And I pull up with the dog, and everybody in the party knows me. And they're all like, "Yeah, it makes sense." They're like,
"Does it bark a lot?"
People that don't know us are like, "Oh, dude, what's that dog?" Like, dude, that's Chip. Just leave it to go. Just good.
Yeah, I turned up at half time looking for him, going, "Where's Drake? Let him know I'm here." And they're like, "I don't know where he is. He gone home to get his dog." He's like, "We're not going to win this. We're not going to win this unless Chip's here." I thought it was me that was the lucky mascot turning up at half time, but apparently it was Chip.
Do you know what's weird? Do you know what's weird about being an Eagles fan? Like, you know, even people in Philly say like it's a Philly thing. Like it's people from Philadelphia. People who are Eagles fans get the same vibe of every other NFL fan base, no matter where they are in the world.
Yeah.
Like, you know, even when I'm in the UK, like I'm in the NFL UK WhatsApp group with like 120 people with different fan base and all sorts of stuff. They hate us. All of them hate Eagles fans in there.
I love it. When somebody calls me an asshole and they're like, "You know I'm from Philly?" Because Philly fans are assholes. As my wife will tell you, I'm an asshole.
Exactly, and it's kind of great. So like when they say it's a Philly thing, like because that's the vibe going on right now. It's a Philly thing. You see E-Rock's video today. I don't know if you saw E-Rock's video, Drake, today or Kev earlier on. Just like, go and look at it on like Twitter afterwards. It's like spine tingling, and it's just all about like the Jason Kelce speech and how the same thing has happened this year. People are saying Nick Sirianni can't coach. The schedule's too easy. The O-line's too old. Jalen Hurts anyone could do it in that system.
It's been the whole season.
It's been the whole season. It's the same thing as what happened in 20. And again, I'm not saying it means we'll win the Super Bowl, but stars are aligning.
See it.
Stars are aligning.
They're aligning. I think they're aligning too. I agree.
Yeah.
Anyway, right. I think that'll do it, lads. That's an hour and 24 minutes. So we have already beaten the time that we spent with the Kansas City Chiefs fans. So that's what.
And which was your favorite podcast, Danny? Which was your favorite podcast?
This, of course. Well, I'm on this one. I wasn't on that one. So this is definitely this is the premium show, right?
There you go. We get the proper host, right?
I promise. Every time
Keith,
you
if you're
bring me
listening,
on, I'll have a different jersey on every time.
Definitely no. I'd love to have you on. It's a long off season, so I'd love to talk more.
Hey, we'll get you on the British and Irish Eagles podcast as well. We can chat in the off season as well.
Liam, I would love it, man. We'll definitely follow you there, bro.
Yeah, good
superb.
Man. Jen, thanks for having me on.
Don't forget.
No, thank you.
All you forget, especially you over in England. Princess Di is a fucking.
Princess Diane, I know,
is an Eagles fan.
I went to
and her butlers. I know her the old butler. What's his name? Burrell. They live.
Paul Burrow.
They live right behind me. They do. I swear to God, Nick's whole family live right behind me.
What's the shop in Philadelphia called? Michelin something. The old school.
Well, they have
Michelin Nell. No.
Are you talking about sports store or what kind of store?
Yeah, sports store.
Modell's. Modell's is the big sponsor in Philly. Modell's.
Nah. There's the old school like authentic Eagles kit. It's called like Michelin something.
Mitchell Ness. Yeah.
Michelin Ness.
That's my Montgomery jersey. My jersey. My Jerome Brown jersey. Jaworski jerszy.
There's a reason for this, Danny. Danny's like, is the podcast not over yet? So when I was in Philly for the NFC Championship game last weekend before last, I bought Katie the Princess Diana jacket to bring home.
Hell yeah, dude.
Katie's going to be set me back a bit. Katie's going to be wearing that on Sunday, and she's bought green hair dye for her hair because she's the reason I support the Eagles. And she'll be there cheering on with that. So
all my kids have jerseys. My wife's got jerseys. My wife's got an Acres, a Deuce Staley. I got her multi. She's like, all I need is one. No, I got 86. So
that's insane.
Oh yeah,
unreal. He did actually when Drake came over to London for the Jags game. He brought over like 14 jerseys and gave us them all out, regardless of who you supported. So I actually had an Eagles jersey over my Patriots jersey.
I think you're an Eagles fan underneath all this, Danny. To be honest with you,
I'm a asshole. So, but yeah, no, that was absolutely unreal. Thank you very much for joining. There he goes. Yeah. Thanks very much, guys. It was an absolute pleasure. Had an absolute blast talking to you. And thanks very much to anybody listening, watching. Remember, give us all a subscribe and like and all that other good stuff. Find us on all the social media platforms, all that other good stuff. To be honest, I'm just ready for my bed now. I'm knackered. This has been some session. We will be back tomorrow. We've got our Super Bowl 57 preview show. I can't believe it's getting there. We're getting closer and closer. Can almost taste the beer and the hot dogs. So thanks very much all to listening, watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks.
Go Birds!
Go Birds!